contact!
How deep can you plunge into the darkness?
Through the dark veil of space, time.
I wish we could have joined you sooner.
This is WarpForge.
Time is short. There is much to be done.
The wait ends now.
All right, welcome back once again, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, to the Warp Chatter podcast. This is the podcast dedicated to talking about the Horus Heresy Legion digital card game, Horus Heresy lore, Warhammer 40,000, everything that encompasses. I am your host, Scuff D, and this is a podcast by players for players. With us, we've got ourselves a, not necessarily a new player, but a player new to the podcast. We have Dago Wolfrider from the Discord joining us today.
What's up?
Hello, what is up? And as usual, the Crab co-host Axel Manning is here as well.
Howdy, folks.
Now, with the power of the Eye of Terror Studios, typically you never know when we're recording. Sometimes things happen before we're done recording, after we're done recording, before the episode airs. Time has been a little bit shorter this week, so we've actually had some time to process. I don't want to say last week, but technically by the calendar it was last week. Skulls has happened.
Listen, by the time this comes out, it will be last week, and trust me, we record live.
That's
live
true.
Somewhere. I don't know where.
By the time this comes out, there'll be more stuff, I'm sure. So we've got a lot to talk about. That's really what we're going to be talking about today. We were originally before the expansion dropped, and I don't want to say it was a super surprise, but it kind of was. In terms of speed, we were planning on talking about the neutral card pool. I think Imperial Army is what I had on the calendar.
Yeah.
And
that would make sense. They're the first.
Yeah, and we had the content creators and the community manager have a chat going on, which I think I mentioned previously on the here before. We were getting ready. We were supposed to be doing spoilers for the Loyalist Titans, which was going to take place last weekend. By the time you're hearing this, 2 weeks ago, figure that. Just give it 2 weekends. Unfortunately, the images couldn't be finalized and approved in time for Skulls. I think that was at GW's request, demand, however you want to spit it. So this was the first expansion in a very long time, since Prospero, that we had no spoilers. And we knew that they were coming like 2 days before, like the Sunday. It was like, hey, the new set drops Wednesday. Like, get ready for it. And that's what's going to be going on. So we had that. We had that just kind of surprise on the community. I tried to subtly hint at big things coming without spoiling it for anybody.
Keyword, big.
Big things, yeah. And unfortunately, like I said, we didn't have any spoilers, and so we had no idea ourselves what this would all include, what this was going to look like. So we had that to process, and then over the course of the week of Skulls, we have all sorts of other things in digital gaming related to 40K to process. We've got WarpForge, which is finally the 40K sequel version, redux reboot of Horus Heresy Legion's planned for 2023. We're going to be talking about all of that stuff today. First impressions about Titans, Alpha Legion campaign starting here in a day or two, or probably has already started by the time you're listening to this. So before we get into any of that, because that's a lot to get into, and I'm sure we're going to have some discussion, some thoughts, some hype, and some shoulder shrugs, some cringing, some hand holding.
How many emotions are you going to get?
Some kumbaya. Yeah, it's going to be an experience. But before we do all that, I want to do player introductions and give Dago Wolfrider the chance to talk about himself. Tell us where you're from.
I'm Dago Wolfrider. I'm from Italy. I've been playing this game for a couple of years now, and I'm the Lodge Master of Master Debaters, a top 10 lodge from the Masterclass community.
Congrats on the promotion.
Yes, it's quite a recent promotion. And I am also a tournament player. I won the last subreddit tournament and the last week-long and the weekday tournament. got a really lucky week last one, and I'm gonna try to qualify for the Italian team for the World Cup. I was quite sad that we did not get any news about that, but I'm sure that maybe by the time this podcast is out, we will know something more. And what else? My favorite faction lore-wise is Space Wolf. I'm active on the main core of the game and on Reddit. I really like helping new players with decks and general strategy, how to learn how to play the game better, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. Well, see, with a name like Wolfrider, I had no idea that your favorite faction was Space Wolves.
Really, you couldn't tell.
I couldn't tell. There wasn't enough wolf. I figured it should have been. It should have been Wolf Dago, Wolfrider, Wolflet.
Really, just Wolf would work. I think it gets the message across better.
Maybe in 1992, one wolf would have been sufficient, but we have moved on to 2022. Yeah. You need multiple wolves.
There is just wolf in the in the grim dark future, in the grim wolf future.
There is only wolf. That's it. There used to be runes and you could actually call them long fangs, and that was sufficient. You're like, oh, I get it, right? The long fang, the long end of the tooth, cool. But no, now we got to double down on that. If you don't clearly understand the wolf, then you need to wolf out. It's I would say the Space Wolf. If we can get Wolfentime to surpass Morbentime, I'd be happy.
Listen, Morbentime as a meme has already died because the actors started talking about the meme. The meme is dead.
Thank God.
It got killed.
I like that it moved. They re-released it. They're like, oh, everybody wants it. And then they're like, oh, I guess, no, it was just a meme.
Yeah.
Well, memes aside, I mean, geez, I'm just trying to figure out where we should begin.
A lot has happened.
How is it, really quick, how was it that you heard about Legions, or how did you get into Legions itself?
I first come across the 40k universe thanks to either Dawn of War 2 or if the Emperor had a text-to-speech device.
Okay.
I can't remember which one was first. It was like 6 years ago. I was a Magic player before, then I got tired of long games and was I'm a free-to player mostly, so Magic can be quite expensive on the other hand. So I wanted something more casual and something free-to-play to play every once in a while, and I got really invested into the game. And then I joined Masters of Salt, and then I got promoted to Master Debaters, and then I recently became Lodge Master, so I'm gonna spend as much time as possible on the game until the WarpForge gets released.
A lot of people are doing that. WarpForge is going to be big, or it's going to crash and burn. I'm hoping for the first one, but I got to be prepared for the second one.
I don't think it's going to crash and burn. Yeah, I think what's going to happen...
I don't think it'll outright die, but it might come out to lukewarm applause and die slowly, which might be worse.
I think what's going to happen is, if we get that response, it's going to be from Legion players, and Legion players are going to quickly realize that they are the minority, and there's going to be a massive influx of 40k players.
Well, as a mod, I've already seen that, where like the old guard have shown up, and new people are there. Like, I don't get why you guys are so angry all the time, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't either.
Yeah, it's
Legion players and Salt go hand in hand.
Yeah, and that will, those players will either acclimate or drop off, and the influx of 40k players to WarpForge will be much more numerous. Whether they stick around or not will be a whole different thing. But I mean, think about how many people didn't know about Horus Heresy Legions, because we've had several people on who were looking. You have to look under Horus Heresy. Like if you're looking under Warhammer 40k, the game didn't pop up. You have to know what to look for. So if you're just looking for Warhammer 40k, you would never know this game existed. And it is definitely a game. The 40k audience is massively huge, even though it's the same universe. There's just people who gravitate more towards Xenos than the Heresy. And that's just the way it goes.
I still love seeing the occasional post, like Wonder Necron's coming, and you got to tell the guy they didn't wake up yet.
Yeah.
A couple of their dudes were pokeballing things.
When are we going to get Tau? Come on.
A little segue. Freed's daughter just got a model, so that's neat. Talking about pokeballing characters.
Gotta get that. Yeah, it should be interesting. I think that...
Tell her, like,
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say Tower about 9,000 years too early, yet people still want them. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. Well, before we get to WarpForge, because I figure that'll be a topic as well to talk about on the release video, the Discord, all that stuff. Let's talk about the Titans. Let's talk about the Loyalist Titans. First impressions. We're not going to do full card-by-card breakdown because, honestly, this is the first week they've been out. I expect, if not in July, maybe August, September, they might be receiving patch after patch, as is typical with a release. These factions get changed, they get adjusted, as well as other patches for other factions that might need it to work against them. So, just first impressions. What are your guys' thoughts? I'm just going to let you guys talk for a little bit about the Titans.
They're not as broken as I expected. They're still annoying to fight, but really, I find Canis annoying to fight in 2022. I know. So there's that. But I genuinely believe, and I know I'm not completely in the minority here, they're not as bad as everyone says or thought they would be. They still need a little tweaking. I think a certain knight running around without overload and a shield with 4/4 stats at 3 energy might be a bit much because of how fast he snowballs. But besides that, I'm pretty fine with them. What do you think, Dago?
I think they need a nerf, definitely. They are not as broken as Knights were when they were released, because Knights, after the release, were just dominating the ladder. Yeah, too much. And Titans are just too slow to main. If you want to get to War Master, you need your matches to be quite short and not they can last 20 minutes or more, especially in an event where you do not have access. You cannot construct your decks as much as you can in practice or in ladder. And some of the cards are definitely overpowered, especially since they have the best free energy troop in the game. 4/4 with shield, and he does not get stunned after he attacks. And if you look at Canis and you look at them, there is a huge... They are definitely way stronger than Canis is. And
easily.
Yeah, and pretty sure they are definitely stronger than what he was when he was released, and he was quite strong back then. They definitely need some nerfs, but not a lot of, as we said before, there's a lot of salt to be found in the main code, and a lot of people do exaggerate, but I think with just a little tweaks here and there with some cards, they can definitely become a playable, okay faction.
Yeah, I definitely think a few tweaks here or there are needed. And as a mod, I run into a lot of salt on both servers, seeing how they asked a couple of us to carry over, so they did. That's Forge folks. Yeah, no, they really just need a few tweaks. Like, overall, they released, and there's no flame cannon. As in, if anyone who doesn't remember the original flame cannon, it was 2 damage across the board, 2 EX again, and it was broken. It was absurd.
You couldn't build a board?
Nope.
At all. Instead, with Knights, you have the opportunity to build a board. You might end up with your board with can't attack.
Yep.
Their mini Nostromo really needs the card draw removed.
Yeah, that's one of the cards I agree that needs a change.
Yeah.
Because it costs a little bit more, but it's common, so I can bring 2 of them, and it still does the exact same thing.
Yeah, it serves a different purpose, though. Nostromo is like an emergency tool. If you know that your opponent is gonna kill you, you have to stop him. You can use Nostromo, but it's just an emergency tool. You have enough tools to reduce his attack, give him can't attack to a specific unit or troop, so you can work already with your tool. Instead, in Titans, you need a way to prevent your opponent from attacking your weapons, so you cannot stun them. And Nostromo serves a different purpose. It's like a last resort. If you really need to block your opponent from attacking you, so you will to avoid little. Instead, the Titans are going to use it way less as a way of preventing little, and more as a way to make sure you can use your weapons and your opponent cannot stun them.
Yeah, I definitely think it needs to lose the card draw. I think that would help it a lot. Because right now it's just too good. It cycles itself. It's just too good. But yeah, it doesn't need that much.
Another great card is the 2 energy card that gives frontline to a unit.
Oh,
Which
that one's
serves-
really good.
Yeah, it serves the same purpose. And there is a neutral card that is quite similar to it, but it's not as strong as this one, because, of course, Titans, if you can give frontline to one of your weapons you're not going to use, and you just roll the siege of your other weapons and shoot an extra. If your opponent does not have Unstoppable, but not many decks on Unstoppable troops.
Yeah, a good part of this card is I can just drop it on my shoulder I don't care about, and I can do whatever I want now, and you can't really stop me.
Pretty much it, yes.
Yeah, they have a lot of good cards. I'm happy they were either going to come out broken or really bad. I'm happy that it's really leaning towards the really good and just a little bit of tweaking. And surprisingly, their best Titan isn't their legendary one.
Yeah, it's probably either the epic one or the rare one.
I would say the epic's better than the rare. I just like the rare more.
I would say the rare one is actually better.
The rare?
Because you can play more troops. It's more
troops
you're
right.
Still. And it's synergized better with some commons card, and you do not need the 3 energy legendary tactic, because it's basically useless with that one. Instead, you can use the 3 energy that gives shield to your warlord and the weapons addition to it.
I think it's just the weapons that the epic can get. Really, though, it's better to run the rare unless you get the really broken ones on the new on the epic. Their legendary weapons are pretty crazy.
Yes, but if you really want to main them, you really need the claws to deal with early game mini troops.
Everything, really.
Yeah. You can give them frontline as well, so your opponent has to bash into a 3 or 4 attack.
Which no one wants to do.
Yeah, no one wants to do.
Yeah, no, I think this might have been one of the more balanced releases we got in a while. I think a lot of people just are completely basing their opinion off of event, which, as we've proven time and time before, event is not accurate to the actual game. And I wish it was, because I got to play some stupid things in event.
Like a lot of give maintenance to the Titan weapons and just leave them with no energy.
Yep.
Thanks to the Saboteur. Yeah, that's great. If you want to play event, my recommendation is Myrmidon.
He's their best. If not him, grab the epic Titan.
Or Dinat, if you have gems, so you can get the mission.
Yeah.
Get the mission or multiple Saboteur squads. Saboteur squad / Ghost Legionary. Boom. You're off to the races.
Yep.
Myrmidon is just great because most matches end in 10 minutes.
Oh, it's easily. Really fast. Really fast.
Yeah. You can just spam Vorax and early game troops and keep your opponent stunned, and he's gonna either resign or die eventually. But quite fast.
Yeah.
Instead, if you have a mirror as a Titan, get ready for a 20, even 30 minutes match, and it's really tedious.
Yeah, it's not exactly fun if you're spending all your time in a mirror.
Yeah.
A shame though that the epic Titan had possibly one of the worst weapons, the random 5 damage. Because if you do mirror match against another Titan, that 5 damage will hit exactly where you don't want it to.
Yeah.
And it's overload too, which is a bit weird to me.
I think it's because its ability costs only 2 energy. You're
right. But at the same time, it being completely random means in a normal gameplay, it's okay. Not great, but okay. But in an event, it's pretty useless. I just never use it. I let them endlessly stun it because I'm not going to use it.
Yeah.
It's that cannon that's board-wide damage that I'm looking at. I like that one.
That one is a mini astral warfare on a weapon. And it's great.
I love it. Yeah, I think me and Dago are agreeing that they're relatively fine. Just need a few tweaking. What's your feeling, Scuff?
I'm not going to fully disagree. I think I'm not trying to defend Titans here. I don't enjoy playing them. I don't enjoy playing against them simply because of the game length. And I know you can get some games under 10 minutes, but when you're playing a Titan versus a Titan, that's not going to be the case. I've had multiple games over 20 minutes, and I can get more games in less time. But that's it. Like, really, I like the complaints or the suggestions, the expected tweaks. I don't disagree. I think just some minor things. You card draw off of Display of Might. I think Death Pulse, as well as the 2 energy, Gravitonic Sensor, which refill energy very easily, are powerful. Maybe a little too powerful, but at the same time, absolutely necessary for the faction, considering how energy intensive they have to be to activate. Or, on top of that, if you are spending energy just to remove stun to then activate or load your siege, which is then tedious. I think the shutdown is a great concept. It's frustrating when it happens against you, but it offers a way out without having to be like, well, I guess I just got to meltdown or go face. Meltdown's not here, and I'm fine with Meltdown not being here. I know a lot of people have said, why don't they have Meltdown? I think because the fact that they have Shutdown and they have Overload, and the player already has to work around that, even though they've got more hit points, even though they've got cards for their faction as opposed to just neutrals, that actually isn't such a bad thing because the cards for their faction can be adjusted. Whereas neutrals, you don't just balance a neutral because of 1 or 2 warlords. You shouldn't. If you do, the neutral is the problem. And there have been instances of cards like that. But it's easier when it's within its own card pool, because then you can just adjust the 1 or 2 cards that are overpowered, and the faction isn't ruined. The warlords aren't ruined because they have other tools to use. I've been using the Epic Warlord. I got a couple legendaries. I didn't get the legendary warlord, the Aurum Castigators.
You don't want the legendary.
So what happened? I want to try. I want to try them all out. So I've had a lot.
Sadly,
of fun.
my War Master got done dirty.
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun with Sabras Regnum, and then the legendary cannon. But then I'm also using typically the macro Gatling.
That seems crazy.
Bellicosa and macro Gatling. I tend to have things covered, and there's kind of that strange mix of like, okay, they need some troops to support and play your tactics smart. You don't want to blow your load early because you literally could just like find yourself late game fumbling for things. I really enjoy the fact that the troops for this faction are Knights and Warhound Titans. I think that's really cool. I think that makes sense. Yeah. And at the same time, like, helps you get the feel of just a field of Titans straight into the battle. My complaint is purely
surprisingly big mana pool.
Yeah, my complaint is purely on the energy of time that it takes to play a game. And I think as time goes on, Titan games will become a little bit less common for the instances that you said. First off, we're going to be, when we're out of the Titan events, we'll see them pop up here and there, but they won't become the norm. They won't become every event. And on top of that, players that are playing ladder, like you said, I mean, you're not going to want to. The time that it takes. If you're grinding ladder, this is not a faction for you. And I think that's fine. I think they should have factions that are not designed for ladder in mind. That can win if you want to play that way. If I had the time and I want to play and maybe hit top 50 with Titans, sure. But if I'm going for War Master, I should pick faster options because that's the race. That's the whole point. But as a faction, it could still be winnable, just not something that you take to the top all the time. Maybe something that you play for the first week of a season and then you move on to other things. There are so many answers to the faction that I think people just have to shift gears, and we're still in that first week where people haven't done that, or they don't understand what they have to do because they just see these 6 units on the board right out the gate if it's a Warlord Titan, and they're like, what do I do? How do I start? I'm behind, and they get confused. It's just the presence is intimidating. But day one, I was just playing Latara. I was like, I'll play Latara. She makes flanking easy peasy, flank and frontline. I'm 6-0 against Titans with Latara. It's so easy, and all I have to do is use her ability. And then if they get in a pickle where I don't have enough units, guess what? She's still got the Ursa's Claw, and she stuns everything. So that's a pretty powerful, way to go. And that's just a neutral deck. There's Ultramarines, Blood Angels, White Scars, Defenders of Caliban, the decks that make units that people have been like, these don't work so well, or they just get aggro so rush you down. I don't get to build the board. Proctor works really well.
Proctor's change, I feel like, was waiting for this.
On top of that, Proctor has the chance to actually go first against these, against the Warlord at least. You're like, hey, cool. You can't get rid of these little 1/1s that have become 2/2s and then 3/3s, and meanwhile they're stunning your stuff. Like, great. Like, it's a nice change where these Warlords, these decks can do very well still. They can still include neutrals, they can still include Doombringer and defensive satellites and have a lot of potential combos to clear house later in the game. But really, the early game is rewarding to those decks that suffered for months that, like, I don't have an early game because everything shuts me down. Knights, I love the fact that thematically and lore-wise and execution-wise, Knights are super weak against Titans because it's just one Warlord.
They're not made for it.
Yeah, like, I guess I can hit this one weapon and, like, meanwhile, the rest of the Titan will stop on you because that's what they would do. I don't have huge problems with the card pool, and I know we might see some changes down the road, so I don't know what to nitpick about aside from maybe a couple energy adjustments or card draws. Stat-wise, I don't care. I don't care what the stats are on these things because most of the time I'm not playing the troops. I've got my Titan deck's got like 12 troops in it, but I don't play them on curve. On curve, I'm working to set up stuff early on, and my opponents are dealing with the board that I have. That gives me time to play troops later in the game, which makes the late troops more of an option for that deck, at least the deck that I've got. So I don't really have any comments on the stats of the troops because that really hasn't been a big deal for me. They have a hard removal option. People have got hard removal options against them, and if you're playing a board-focused deck, you should be able to throw troops at their troops without problem, without having to run into too many things. I've had some close games where opponents, they didn't play bad. They made like one or two mistakes that I was able to like work way out of, or like remove a stun and then get off my weapons. But it didn't feel like, I was like, man, they don't stand a chance. Like, I didn't feel like that. Like, the only games where I felt like they didn't stand a chance was when it was a mono Warlord. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, sorry.
Amron's not going to do much.
Yeah, at 6 energy, I'm going to be shooting this cannon at your face for 8, and that's on top of everything else that I've been loading through the course of these turns. So, sorry. I like it. I like it. I don't have rants. I have my only rant is just
minor suggestions.
Things, and I don't know. I don't want to sacrifice the concept because I think the play experience of playing a Titan feels like it. It always has in events. The problem with that has been just you feel like you're slugging, and that part is the part. It's like, okay, I did it. I won 3 games. I don't even want to play another 2. I'm going to switch over to something else.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, to fix the problem, I think the best option is lowering the health of the weapons to maybe 20 as Canis' weapons.
Yeah, I feel like being the same as Canis' weapons, especially as they don't have Meltdown, makes sense.
I would disagree with that, actually.
Really?
Yeah, because they don't have Meltdown, but they have Shutdown. So by the time I get things up online, if I have less health on my weapons, I'm going to get even less use out of them. Where at least with Canis, it has less health, but I can prep my stuff.
Yeah, but you can give them shield, you can heal them quite easily with a lot of their good tactics. So
yeah, but
Canis does not have that option.
The difference too. Remember, Canis has got that Psyker energy. It's minimal, but it's there. Whereas everything here for the Titans is out of the 1 energy pool. I
feel like it might want to scale based on the weapon then the HP.
Yeah,
some of them might deserve fine.
Yeah, I'd be okay.
Maybe not across the board. Because like the shoulders, I think all the shoulders are balanced, at least in my opinion. Because they're random pings or they're 2 damage. Like I don't think.
I mean, they have the 1 damage to board, which denies the defenders of Highbomb if they left. If you cannot stun it.
That's fair. To be fair, those other warlords that also deny Defender the Caliban.
Yep, Cashin.
I was going to say our good friend Doran mains Cashin, Cashin, whatever.
Yes,
Cashin. And he loves just beating up the OC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so does Dar, Shadow Dar. And Titans also have Death Pulse, which is great against the Defenders of Chiron. You can just use it and
Death Pulse refills energy. I didn't get that one, unfortunately. I didn't pull that one, and oddly, I didn't pull the common that does 3 damage to a unit and stuns.
Oh, stuns it? Oh, that's also pretty good.
I feel like that's a little too good, honestly. Like that one there for 3 energy, it should be 2 damage, or you get rid of the stun. Like,
I think 2 damage and a stun is fair.
Yeah, I just feel like the 3 is like, did they need that? It's a little too much. I like the fact that they've got it, but they've also
good against other. It's good against other Titans. It's just Iron Wars smash from the Iron Wars, but on steroids, basically.
Right, exactly.
Pretty much.
Without the conditional.
And I think they should have something for, obviously, the Titan on Titan match. You know, they've got those little knights that flank, but they've got overload. But then they've also they've got to have something else where, like, man, you get a turn 1 Kai or Jubok. Okay, well, I guess it's going to be a rough game for this, this Titan. Like, they should have something to be able to respond early at the sacrifice of not being able to load their weapon or do something else. But
I mean, they have the 3-2 with flank and terror and overload, which is a great card.
Yep.
Not included, I think, because if your opponent plays Michael, you need to remove it. And if you start playing spamming troops early, you need something to counter that.
Yep.
And you got to decide: do I load my weapons or do I try to control the board early? One tool that is really extremely broken, which is the card I think is just the flamer from the Knights, but for this faction is Omniscience Grace. The best free energy troop in the game as of now.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Shield gets +2 every time your War or Titan weapon gets attacked.
Yeah, because the way he works, you drop him if they don't hard remove him and they have to stun one of your weapons. Well, he's now a 6/6 at 4 energy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only going to steamroll from there.
Yes, and if you just play it on curve and you've basically won the game in most matchups.
I feel like he would be a lot more fair if he was just a 1/1. Because he's already extra value. He's shield, which we've already shown is worth a bit when it comes to what's the word? Energy economy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He already comes with shield, which means usually the stats are a little lower to compensate. It isn't. And then he has a really good passive to make up for it. It reminds me a lot of Forge Master, I think his name is.
Yes.
6 energy?
Yes. 6 energy, 6/6 with shield from Mechanical.
Yeah. He is he's very good.
Yeah, I think they could adjust his buff to be a +1/+1. They could change his base stats. They could just get rid of the shield. There's a lot of stuff that they can change there with that, and it could be a powerful card if you play it on one turn. But if you are playing an opponent who's got stuff on board to answer it, or they've got a low cost removal or a sabotage, it's just a 3/4. I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case, but it's not breaking the bank, and it's not something that starts on board. And I think the biggest thing with that is the Titans really is like what starts on the board, like what they get in the deck. Yeah. You got to play it, you got to pack it, you got to know how to use it the best. And I don't think there's anything out the gate where it just feels like this is it. This is an instant. Like it's not. I think there's some stuff that definitely is frustrating, like that heal to give shield to a weapon on the board. I mean, that you play that on a curve, that's going to prolong the game so much, especially if it randomly shields the unit that you want to be able to load, and your opponent doesn't have a response, flanker or troop on board to get past that. That's really going to help out. And then the next turn they got to deal with it again on another Titan part. So at 3. Maybe that's too much, but at the same time, playing Titans at 4 energy is really when you want to be able to fire something, because you kind of have to clear it, to kind of reset the board. When I say reset, I mean they're not always going to wipe the board out, but they want to at least put it on notice, because if they don't, then whatever survives will make sure that there's not a second salvo. And I think that's kind of the pacing of playing at least the Warlord. I don't know about the Reaver. I'll have to spend some more time on the Reaver. I think that might be just a whole different style, and you could probably play a little bit faster because you're playing troops.
The Reaver likes to dual wield the 2/4, the 2 to 4 damage cannon on each arm. At least that's what I've seen. What I like is I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to go on a tangent about balancing them real quick. I was going to say what I like about them is a lot of their balances just need to be minor number changes. There's no reworks needed.
No, I don't think so. It's not there's no mechanic here like Psyker or Duplicitous or, things that just don't work or aren't working as expected. I think it's pretty obvious. I think Shutdown and Overload work very well. And if you play around them, you have to. You have to play around them. Or if you don't, then you don't know how to play the faction. That's going to be a learning curve for you. Yeah. And we don't have Trader Titans yet. I mean, by the time this is out next week, a week from this episode, there'll be Trader Titans added. And I'm looking forward. Honestly, I'm not a Chaos guy, but I'm looking forward to a Possessed Titan. I want to see it.
I'm looking forward to Chaos Titans because I know we're going to get the Trader War Master on the enemy side.
Yeah, that's Dolores.
Yep.
Dolores,
Yeah.
yes.
But Dolores became a Possessed Titan. So will we get regular Dolores or will we get Possessed Dolores?
I just want Dolores because it's an iconoclast War Master. And that's my favorite type of Titan that's recently been introduced because I've added a bunch recently. Simply because it has a giant drill on one hand and then a sword on the other. Because fuck having a range attack, I guess.
Yeah, I think that might be following TitanDeath, because I just wrapped that book up, which, by the way, I think we ever talked about that. I hate that book. Oh my god.
TitanDeath?
TitanDeath.
What was?
This is
Why do you hate TitanDeath?
The name of the expansion is TitanDeath. Let me tell you about the book TitanDeath, which is not written by Ben Counter, believe it or not.
Do you feel like it was?
I feel like it was written by somebody who was had to drag out a story that supposedly took 3 months, but instead of dragging it out with action and deployments and battles, they dragged it out with flashbacks. The first 3/4 of that book has one combat engagement with Titans. It's a book about Titans, fighting Titans at Beta Garmin, and there's a collective of 4 or 5 actual scenes where Titans fight. The last 20% of the book is where all the action is. And none of it is heavily dependent on what came in the first 80% of the book. It's all flashback. It's all development of characters that don't really matter to the story at all. It just drug on. It was what is going on? Where are we going with this? I am 120 pages. And we had a flashback battle. It wasn't even a current battle. It was a battle that happened in the past. Where are we going? It was just so bad. But
folks at home, if you want to read a real book about Titan combat, look up Titanicus by Dan Abnett.
But
I know I talk about him a lot because he's my favorite author, but that's a good Titan combat book.
In terms of learning about the Legio Volpa and Legio Solario, that was cool. I mean, it gave me some lore on that. I'm not a big Titan lore guy, but it's okay, I know a little bit more about these two factions, which is why I know that Dolores becomes a Possessed Titan, which is kind of cool because they show that whole ritual that takes place to make him possessed. But again, that was in the last 20% of the book, and it was such a slog. It was so brutal reading that book and waiting for it to end.
Reading a book should never feel like a slog.
It shouldn't. And unlike other books that I've read in the Horus Heresy series, and I've read all of them. I am currently about 30% through Buried Dagger. So that'll be the last one. They can move on to the Siege. But there have been a couple where I'm kind of okay, when it's over, I'm man, that was just not great. Or I've had a couple where it's when I read Damnation of Pythos, I was this isn't a heresy book. What was the point of this book?
You could have put Pythos in any time period.
You really could have. It was completely unnecessary. But this book, I was very cognizant of the lack of anything going on. And I was I don't need to read a chapter and a half about a princeps on downtime in his quarters drinking brandy. That's it. That's a chapter. And then he has a flashback about... It's unnecessary. Unnecessary.
I'm saying... For Titanicus, the only downtime there is explains to you the politics of Legios in an interesting way.
Yeah, this was not interesting.
No, it wasn't.
So hopefully Trader Titans, Trader Legios will be interesting and entertaining and will offer us the chaos take on these and not just hey, exactly more Titans as you already see them. Like, I want to see, I don't know, do you think they'll get Marks of Chaos? I doubt it. I doubt they'll give Marks of Chaos to Titan weapons. But at the same time, I kind of want to see it. I want to see something like that.
I have a feeling we might see them play more like a horde army with cultists and such, because there's so much untapped cultist potential that's being used by nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't just make them red, yes, I know not all chaos is red, but bear with me. Red Loyalist Titans, then it's got to be something very different.
Hopefully, we get some Titans with more melee oriented. So,
there's no way we're not. Chaos loves their melee.
Yeah. That's. I feel like that is one thing with the Loyalist Titans. They have the Power Claw, the Power Fist, or whatever, but it definitely feels like that's not their foray. That's not their focus. And
these guys are the shooting guys.
Yeah,
they have ordnance.
Yeah, and we've seen it in events before where, like, hitting for 5 and stun, or deal 3, it just, like, it has the can attack, and then it can, like, those feel much more like, power smashing things than the Legio. So if we've got that, or we've got, the Titans with the whip mauls, or who knows what other other weapons that they've got at their disposal, that would be fun to see. And then to have those, even though they will be slogs of games, to have those Titan on Titan matches where you could literally pit Traitor versus Loyalist Titans, at least for 2 weeks in an event, and see how those styles play off each other, should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, definitely. As long as one isn't blatantly better than the other, it will be fun.
Right.
I'm excited for that.
There's also fun to be found in beating a stronger opponent with a weaker warlord or faction.
There is, but at the same time, in an event style thing, you don't want to match up and be like, "Oh, I got 4 warlords, none of them playable."
That's true.
Yeah, the events is the one area where, I mean, you get what you get, and you hope that if your time is well spent, and especially in a release event, I don't think this is, I mean, we didn't talk about this, but I think another pinch for me with the time constraints on the game is when it's a release event, I want to play as much of the event as I possibly can to get crates because the crates have got new cards for the faction, and this event just takes it out of me. And I'm still on my first run. I'm like 8 wins in on my first run, and I'm like, I get like another 1 or 2 games, I'm just like, I don't want to do this anymore. And I should be keeping playing it so I can get my cards for the Loyalist Titans.
I know that feeling.
There are other players I know. Yeah, there are players I know who are the opposite. They love Titans and they're diving right in and just like run after run. And normally that's me in an event, but with this one, it's like I don't have enough time, and then when I do, I could get 3 other games in. I still have dailies to do. I don't have time to finish this run, and it's frustrating.
I have a lodge mate who single-handedly got us the Golden Crate, and he's
previous guest on the podcast for Team America, Diamond.
Yes, Diamond. Shout out to Diamond. And in his current deck for event, he has 6 of Messiah's Grace. And I hope he shares some of his replays.
That is a lot of them.
Yes. 6 of Messiah's Grace.
Yeah, you get rid of 1, there'll be 2 or 3 or 4. That's a powerful event draft for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah, I would have to say I'm happy with the Titans so far.
Yeah, I don't have major complaints, and I don't think. I mean, I expect there's always going to be salty people about everything, so I'm not too.
No matter what you do, there will be salt.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of it recently.
I think generally, I'm looking forward to seeing what progresses with the faction, because it's not like, man. I have a couple people who were always going to. There's always people who are looking for a reason to stop playing, and they're like, "Is this it? Am I going to stop playing because of it?" I'm like, if you do, that's your bad. I mean, I don't know why if that was the case, why didn't you stop playing with Thousand Suns or, My
favorite part is that the people who are looking for a reason to stop playing usually have already stopped playing.
Right.
They just want another reason to come in and complain.
They just want a reason to say, like, see, that's why I don't play this game anymore. But the fact is, they do. They care enough to check in. So the validity of those cries fall on my deaf ears when it comes to that. All right, Titans. We have talked about at least the Titan part of Skulls, because that was the kicker. That was the kickoff. But Skulls is all Warhammer 40k, and surprise, I did not know anything about this or see this coming, but the trailer for WarpForge, which we talked about at the start, which is the 40k version of Legions that will come out in 2023. We have a Discord for that now, an official Discord.
A little too early.
Which actually has a banner. And Legions never got a banner, so I'm a little irked by that.
Well, you want to know why? It's based on how many Nitro boosters you have. The official Legions account in that server boosted the shit out of that server.
Yeah, but how come it's like it was already prepared. Yeah, so where's the banner for Legions? I never saw one.
Well, that's the thing. People would have to spend money to boost it. That's why I feel like this what's the word I'm looking for? I guess project has a lot more backing behind it.
That could be.
At least from Games Workshop.
Well, it wouldn't be too much for like every guild to front their own, banner on their game.
Yeah, it really wouldn't have been. But at the same time, I'm cautiously optimistic about this one.
Yeah, you got Necrons, you got Orcs, you've got Eldar, Astartes, and Tyranids.
Yeah.
All the Xenos are all right there, right out the gate. And the trailer.
Cover Chaos?
Yeah, Chaos. Sure, whatever. Hey. Who gives a shit about Chaos?
How dare you? We are actively in the Eye of Terror Studios, and you're going to say something like that. You understand? You just summoned all four of them.
It's just the way it is. No, I'm looking forward to playing Necrons. It's so early. There's a lot of stuff that has got, who knows what it's going to look like. One thing I do hope, I don't want it to be a carbon copy of Legions. I want them to build on what has come before. I don't want there to be a lodge system. I want it to be something completely different. I want events to be completely different. Let's start off with the mentor system. Sure, let's start off with the idea for premiums. Sure, let's start off with a bigger shop. Let's do all that stuff. But let's then build on it on top of that out the gate, as opposed to waiting a year or two to get more things.
I'm hoping for no neutrals.
I would hope the way it's set up, as very few neutrals as possible, and just be things like frag grenade or something very minimal like breach, something situational, super niche, not just like troops, because there shouldn't be, right? There shouldn't be neutral troops.
Yeah. I should want to use my own cards, and I see what you mean by no lodge system. I'm really hoping that they lock it per faction, so each faction works towards the goal, because that could be neat. Yeah, you could pledge yourself to a faction, but work for different decks. Like I'm fighting for Chaos every event, no matter what, even though I'm playing Astartes right now.
Yeah, I would like for and this is just kind of a random thing. I don't know what they're figuring out, because I think they're looking to kind of not reskin it, at least when I talk to the community manager, but that doesn't mean that that's going to be the case in 8 months plus. But I would like for every event to have 5 rewards, or 6 rewards, or 3 or 4 rewards, depending on the faction that are in the event, and then you pick that faction. So event voting is totally different, like we always dreamed. You pick, this is the reward I'm playing for, and all your wins go to that reward. And therefore you can say, at the end of the month, okay, all the orcs have Chaos won the season, orcs won the season. Everybody who picked that at the start of the month gets something, or you just make it different, and therefore build more of that, burn the filthy Xenos, or devour the, just you build that whole concept a lot more, as opposed to just banner waving, flag waving. I want to make it different. I want the community to be completely different. I think the 40k players will add to that, but I don't think we need a carbon copy of what we already have. I think what we need is it to be new and fresh, not just for those who are coming in, but also for those of us who have played for 4 years with Legions. I don't want to have to feel like I'm starting over doing the exact same thing. If I'm starting over with a new game, I want to also feel like it's a new game, and not just look, I'm building up Sons of Horus again, but we call them Astartes. Let's do something different.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. I play a fighting game that has that exact system in place, where at the start of every month, your faction, you have to change it before the end of the month, of course, but
whatever faction you're at, based on however every player in that faction performs, you get rewards.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly it's not the perfect system. I would be lying through my teeth if I said it was. It's a pretty good system, though. I think that would be a lot better than a lodge system in this game because as much as the lodges are fun,
yeah,
I can say for a fact they create more problems than they fix. There hasn't been a fire lately, but holy shit.
The lodge, the whole lodge thing doesn't carry over to 40k to begin with.
No, it doesn't.
It's a very 30K
unless they
thing.
separate it to chapters, clans, war bands,
and
casts.
I still hope they don't. And not just for the drum, but for and I don't know if I've ever spoken on this on the podcast before. I know I've talked with various other players. I don't like the splintering of the community. I think one of the biggest things that came out of the lodge system was we have so many people on other discords and private discords and large community groups, whether it is 2 lodges, 3 lodges, 6 lodges. It's a lot of players who don't frequent the main court. And there are players who act like main court is this, forbidden place that they don't ever go to anymore. And I don't want to see that be the case. Especially with an influx of 40k players and new players during the game, it's a chance for everybody to bring down fences, build a new community, intermingle with people you haven't talked to in who knows how long or if ever. Maybe you don't have to go to Discord. Fine, don't go to Discord. But at the same time, just have there be one hub as opposed to, we don't talk with those guys. And we've already got VK and there's an Italian Discord, correct?
I know there's a French one. I don't know
there's
about
a French
Italian.
one. There's VK. There's Spanish has got some other app that they use. You've already got those technological walls, and then you compound that further by having walls within those walls. And it's one reason why sometimes if you go on, global chat's completely different from Discord chat, and your Discord chat might be completely different if you're in a different server because you're talking with other people. Maybe you don't ever go to main court. That's a whole Discord rant. I could do a whole rant about that. I don't want to see that carry into WarpForge, and I really am looking for just everything being new about it.
Yeah, less divide is always good. And I mean, already the new Discord is growing faster than Legion's ever did. I'm just going to come out and say that now. So I have a lot of hope for this one.
That is
we
we'll
do have. I'm not completely. I do not completely agree with the lack of the lodge system because you really have to rework some aspects of them, like events. How can you? Is it gonna be you're gonna choose a faction to play for that faction, and every player plays for it, and then how do you reward the best lodges get best rewards? And
I would say you would do that per player. The best player gets the best reward.
I would say I would either make it per player, or I would simply make it if you were the winning side, everybody in that winning side gets it, as opposed to 200 players in the top 10.
Because in its current form, you can have a lodge where one player puts in, for example, we're talking about Diamond, put in 25k points. Well, a guy who puts in 1 point is going to get the exact same reward as him, minus the ones he had earned from just doing the runs. Even though, realistically, he should have a scaled-up reward, just because he put in so much effort. I was going to say, this is why I think if they were to do a reward system, it should be your side you pick fights for that reward. So say a Chaos-themed reward for Chaos, or whatever the hell. And then, based on the actual work the player put in, you then get a better reward than your other Chaos mates. I'm using Chaos as an example because you did us dirty like that earlier.
Yeah, that's fine. Or you tier rewards, as opposed to just having, this event unlocks this one reward that the top 200 people get. You have a tier reward. You've got tier crates. Tier 1, you get this. At Tier 2, you get this and this. At Tier 3, for the players who have scored over X amount of points for a faction, they get this, this, and this. Make it different. And then that way it is player dependent, and you don't have to worry about, like Axel said, there are those times where you've got guys who are just kind of coasting on the efforts of others. And let's be honest, ranked lodge means nothing. It's just a name up there. You guys don't get any prizes for that, so be done with that. Let's move on to other things. We have ladder for solo players. We can do the same thing for events, and then just change it into either factions or scale up the tiers. So not only do you get a green crate because you scored this, but you're also in the top 3% of the event. So therefore you now qualify for the next tier. I think there's ways to make that happen. We have so many more months to go before we even see more about this game. So there's a lot of speculation. I don't want to over speculate because quite frankly, I'm not going to spend too much energy on it, but I'm hopeful that what I see is different, and it's not different in a bad way. It's not like, oh man, this feels like beta Legions. It shouldn't. We shouldn't go that far back.
We can do an entire episode purely on speculating.
Yeah.
There's just that much to it.
Yeah, there's people doing card ideas and card creations for the game already.
The fact that a server even exists already blows my fucking mind.
And we have a feedback channel, but we have nothing to give feedback to.
Yeah, yeah, I laughed at that when I first saw that. I was like, yep, everyone's going to have an opinion on something they can't have an opinion on.
Yeah, I mean, I like that it's there to generate some noise, but it does feel a little premature. But at the same time, I mean, do you recall, Axel, over a year ago, actually 2 years, I want to say it was 2.5 years ago, was when the first rumor started about the 40K Horus Heresy port.
I would say it was a year and a half due to a job listing. I want to say, though, that the entire rumor got confirmed. Oh, easily.
Yeah,
because the entire rumor got confirmed like a couple months back.
It was a year and a half ago was when the rumor got confirmed, but it was over a year because when we started the podcast, that rumor had already been circulating for 12 months.
Oh, you're right. So it has been like 2 years.
Yeah.
I want to say, though, it got really confirmed because EG had mentioned to a mod who retired that they really said if a 40K game comes around, you'll have a spot. Just saying, if it happens, look forward to that. Which really just said, hey we're going to make this game. When it comes out, you want to be a mod for it?
Right.
So, that happened.
Yeah, so I mean, and of course, all the, for 2.5 years, this is the death of Legions. It's going to end. Well, it's here. It still isn't here till 2023. Legions will continue on. I'm sure at some point it will. There's a lot of people who will probably just shift over. I know I'll be playing. I don't know if I'll be playing both. I don't really know. We'll see how the game goes. But at the same time, that's a long time coming. It's a long ways out, and it'll be interesting when it happens.
Yeah, yes. I'm cautiously optimistic. Is a term I've used several times now, but it's really the best way to put it. I am waiting to see what happens, but I'm not going to jump the gun and say anything. I just want to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, most people I talk to are quite excited about the game, and rightfully so, I think.
Yeah.
There are some, weird enough, there are some players who don't want to play the game because they don't like Warhammer 40k, they just love the Horus Heresy. I think I will try to play both, if Legions just is gonna die, I think I'm gonna try to enjoy it as much as I can. But we have time, plenty of time.
Yeah, a lot of people are worried and they're going, oh, this is the death of the game. It's gonna live for a bit. They've already promised us, though, that could change. It's expected to live for a little while now.
Yeah, I'm sure it's got at least a year and a half in it. And even then, like, the game will still go on. Like, you can still play Dragonlords to this day. There may be a lot less players. I don't know why you
do.
No.
There's a chance.
Yeah, there may be a lot less players. It may become a smaller and smaller community as people come over like, oh, but why don't I just go play 40k? But at the same time, the game could be fully fleshed out at that point. I don't know. I'm not going to speculate too much on the future. I'm just saying there's a lot of time here. And one way or the other, pick what you enjoy. If you want to spend time doing it, if you want to play the new game, go for it. Like, there's no wrong way to do it. I don't think. I just don't know how much time I'm going to devote to one or the other. Probably going to stick with Legions till they unplug it. I mean, I've said that before. That's going to happen. I just don't know to what degree that'll be.
I feel like there'll be service support and probably event rewards, but nothing else.
What I want them to do, and maybe I'll just bug them when it gets to that point, is I'll just be like, look, just print me off a set. Just give me a physical card game set of this deck, of this game, so that when you unplug it, I can say, here's the cards I can actually just play by myself. And make my own balance patch. Like, this is how this card always should have acted anyways. Make up my own rules. But the point is, I could play it with other people. Because once you take down digital server of a game, nobody gets to play it, and that's the saddest thing. And I don't want that to be the case. I still want to be able to experience it.
There's an entire website dedicated to just keeping track of the card stats.
Oh, yeah.
It's updated. So if the game does die, you could just make a homemade printed out version. We have all the cards.
I don't want to be the one printing it.
You don't have to be the person. You could transport it to Tabletop Simulator. Not you in particular, it's someone.
That's true.
And then it'll live on forever.
There was a guy who was working on that project, and I think he kind of stopped, but maybe with this new thing coming, that'll be a reason to do it. And speaking of other digital games avenues, Skulls gave us a lot to process.
It gave us a lot. Some stuff I'm really excited for.
Yeah, I mean, should we just go through the list? I don't have the list in front of me. I can just tell you what I can remember.
I think I can remember it. If I take a guess.
Take a guess. Go.
So, all right. We're gonna see if I can remember it. So, a Vermintide 2 update's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
I like Vermintide 2 a lot, so I'm excited for that. Inquisitor Martyr is getting a next-gen console port, which is an okay Diablo clone if you like them. It lets me play as a tech priest Inquisitor, which I think is quite funny. There's a new game, Teeth. I think it's Shoota's Blood and Teeth.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be a 2D side scroller.
It looks kind of like an orc metal slug.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, which could be fun.
It looks like it could be quite fun. I'm happy. All these games, well, not all of them per se, but a lot of them are different. For example, this next one, Bolt Gun. Bolt Gun is a Doom-inspired, and I mean original Doom, Wolfenstein, Quake style game. That's going to be fun. At least I like that type of game. All right, and that's 2. But we got WarpForge, so that's 5. There's 11 in total, so we're going to see if the crowd can remember them. There is a Total War Warhammer 3 update.
Yeah, there was an update for Total War Warhammer 3. I was surprised that Chaos Gate was not on sale, but that's okay.
That's probably because it just came out.
It just came out, so it's understandable.
Dark Tide got more information. Space Marine 2 got more information.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 fingers left. Yes, I got 11 fingers.
There was also the Pathfinder RPG Rogue Trader.
Yes, Rogue Trader. I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah.
That looks like it's going to be fun because it's made by the guys who made Pathfinder, so I already got hope for it. Okay.
I loved Metal Slug I used to play it on my PlayStation 1. And that's why to Shoota's Blood and Teeth.
Shoota's Blood and Teeth looks good. Oh, Battle Sector got information.
Yes.
I forgot that one. That's a fun game, but I mean, it's not much.
Oh, Blood Bowl 3?
Blood Bowl 3, yes, that's what it was.
Yep.
No wonder I forgot. I mean, Blood Bowl's a neat game, don't get me wrong, but it's just not my cup of tea.
It's not for everybody. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, a lot of games. My thoughts, I don't know. Blood and Teeth, I probably will pick up and play because I like Metal Slug. I like little side scroller, fun things. I don't know if you guys remember.
Anything where I'm not the Imperium makes me happy. I like Imperium stuff, but
if you guys remember not on Xbox, it was a downloadable game where you were Astartes and you're going through a Space Hulk. Not Space Hulk, an orc rock. And it was kind of like a run and shooter type thing. And you could, pick a different class and get certain weapons, and they all had their different playstyle. And I forget the name of it. I have it on my 360. You had like a Tech Marine, you had a Power Sword Marine, you had a Jump Pack, and then you had a Heavy Bolter guy. And it was a very arcade shooter style type game with orc bosses and vehicles and jets and stompas and stuff. So to play an orc version of that, which is a little bit more like the sprites and everything are much more reminiscent of like the Metal Slug. Yeah, that'll be fun. I'll play that. I'm really looking forward to Rogue Trader. That looks cool. I'm hoping to see more of that in Space Marine 2. I was surprised by all of the games that just kind of shot out. Not to mention, then we got model updates and more stuff with the Horus Heresy and Leagues of Votan and just so much.
There's so much coming around the corner. Also, I think I found the game you're talking about, Scuff. Was it Warhammer 40k Kill Team?
Yes, Kill Team. That was the game. Found it. Yes, that was a fun game. I was disappointed you could not play. You could play 2-player co-op online, but you couldn't play 2-player co-op side by side, I think, or it was one of the two. Like, so that made it a little bit hard to actually play with friends.
Yeah, I feel like nowadays, especially, you got to do both.
You should.
I mean, not a lot of games are doing both nowadays. Not saying like that's the norm or anything, but really you should.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm looking for. There's some stuff to look forward to. And obviously, then there still is Chaos Gate, which is still super new. And
I'm hearing there's going to be DLC for the other Chaos Gods.
I'm looking forward to that because
there's really just rep for Nurgle.
Yeah, like give us more stuff. Oh, wasn't there also something on there, or was that the Vermintide update where there was like
Vermintide
Chaos?
is getting Bellacore.
Yes.
Vermintide is a game mode called Chaos Wastes, which are a bunch of not completely randomized, but it's like 15. Randomized missions you got to do in subsequent attempts, and they're getting a Bellacore expansion, which looks really good. That drops next week. I like Vermintide 2 a lot, so I'm happy.
That should be cool.
You don't even need to like Warhammer Fantasy to like Vermintide. Just know that you're killing Skaven, Beastmen, and Nurgle-lite warriors. And that's all you need to know.
And if you do like 40k, then I think that's what Darktide is exactly for, is to kind of cover that niche. And hit you up on that.
Unfortunately for me, it's not covering my niche because I'm a PlayStation player, and it's not coming to me.
Sad.
So I will live with my Vermintide 2 happily.
PC Master Race.
Wow, I could never justify the cost of a PC to myself, so I just sit without.
Yeah, they're pricey. I won't lie,
especially nowadays.
Yeah. But so there's been a lot going on, and we're still processing it. I mean, geez, I think we're going to be processing at least for when it comes to legions for the next couple of weeks, because we're getting Trader Legions, then we're going to get the 6 apparently Defenders of Caliban, oddly off the list. Maybe they'll be in the next expansion. I don't know. I mean, just speculation right there, but I don't know.
It's very peculiar they were forgotten.
Yeah,
I have an idea. Maybe we get the Beast of Caliban as our faction. That would be great.
The entire faction of just Beasts of Caliban?
Yes.
I like your optimism, but I'm gonna just have to say probably no.
A man can dream.
It could be interesting, or maybe we'll get following all these siege things. We get the Emperor, and we start getting the Purge, and then Defenders of Caliban get some stuff. Who knows? Or maybe they were just accidentally left off the list. And the math and numbers, don't add up. And we actually, because I've done the math, and we actually should be getting every card, like every faction that exists, plus the 2 factions, equals a full expansion. But you never know. Sometimes people forget, or maybe it's specific. Maybe there's a plan for it. But we'll have new cards there, missions, new warlords, 5th warlords. I mean, the next couple of months, there's just going to be a lot to digest and break down. So we're going to try to keep you guys up to date on that as we get it. Talk about those new things, plus talk about what we've been trying to work through. We're almost done with the Faction Spotlight series, just in time for more factions to be added to the game. And
to cover them eventually.
Yeah, and then we'll be doing the podcast at some point here, probably the next, I would say 2 or 3 weeks, on Twitch, trying to do a live Q&A or a live stream. So that should be fun. But I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. You go ahead.
I was going to say, there is a feature on Discord to have a voice channel where people can drop in live and they just can't talk. There's one on WarpForge, and what's hilarious is always had people in it since that server's been made. There are people waiting in case a Q&A drops, and it's a surprise. And I love that. I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know what they're doing. They're crazy, and I love them.
Interesting.
One time I saw 5 people in there. That's my
I saw 8. I joined in, and I sadly couldn't talk in there, or else I would have asked multiple questions.
Interesting. Yeah. Well, that might be a way to go about it at some point, too. I'll have to take a look into that. But
I might petition Mr. Everguild to maybe add that to Legions for the Q&A.
That would be something useful. That could be very interesting for people to kind of listen to and kind of be a part of without being a part of. They're still there. Because I think sometimes just some people just want to be in on the ground floor of those things. So
yeah. And some people are afraid of listening to a podcast.
Yes. Well, when you're not playing Legions, Dago, what is it that you do?
I love hiking and cooking. If you go to the main card and check the pinned posts in the rank season, you can somehow find one of my recipe.
7 apples, 3 eggs, 1 big lemon, 102, I'm guessing, grams of sugar, and
Yes.
210 grams of flour. What is this a recipe for? Oh, that makes sense.
Gâteau invisible, French cake.
Yep.
That
I
sounds
realized
good.
that halfway through it. I feel like what was happening was an argument was going on, and then people just completely went towards food, and then you did that, which I respect,
Yeah.
by the way.
Rank season became ranked food from different countries of the world. It was
That's
the less
better than what I
salty
normally have to
conversation.
put up with.
Yes, there was a less salty conversation in rank season. And I love playing games on my PC. Spending time outside now that COVID is not a huge thing anymore. At least here. Luckily enough. And
COVID has pretty much died where I am too,
yeah.
which is nice. I can actually go outside without a mask.
I think people here have just been in denial for 24 months anyways, so it doesn't matter. I mean, it does, but they were like, no, it's not a real thing. Like, okay, you can go ahead and believe that. I don't know. I mean, that's going into a whole different topic, but summertime is here, so it is nice to get outdoors.
Yes.
I missed the winter
It's also-
already.
It's also good for your health.
Yeah.
Especially after being segregated in your room
After
for
isolation.
a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has
Really
already
need that.
been 2 years of COVID. Jesus Christ.
Yes. Time does fly when you can't leave your house.
Yeah.
You gotta
Yeah.
find some way to spend your time. And life is coming back tomorrow, which is extremely great.
Yeah.
A welcoming sight.
Yeah, it's nice.
And
to
I
see
also love
everything.
reading.
That's fair. I'm guessing you like to read some of the 40k books?
Not really. I prefer
Really?
19th century Russian literature or classic literature from Latin authors.
That's fair.
I just love realism as a. That's my favorite. Most of my favorite writers are from that current of writing.
That makes sense. A lot of people like the classical.
Yes.
Me, I don't have much time to read anymore, but I do work 10 hours alone every day, and Warhammer audiobooks usually range about 10 hours long, so I just pop one on while I'm working, and I get through them quick.
Oh,
And I
that's a
like
good
that.
way to go about it. Yeah.
Yeah, my shift, I operate a crane, and no one talks to me unless someone needs to tell me, like, the day plan. So I just sit there, put in my AirPods, listen to some Dan Abnett, maybe some Aaron Densky Bowden. Never Ben Counter. He will never get to violate my ears while I
Excellent.
work.
That is how it's done. That's the proper oaths of the moment right there.
And it's pretty good. Good time. I finally got around to the Night Lords omnibus. That's always been on my listen list for a while. I can say Talos is a very fun character.
It really is.
If you never listened to that, it's pretty good. It follows the Tense Company after the heresy by a good bit, about 10,000 years. Good fun.
Well, I've been busy. I've been doing less videos just because of this. We talked about it. The summertime is coming up. There's a lot more things to get out and do. I've got a lot more family stuff to do. I've got stuff doing. I was out of town this last weekend, so I'm squeezing in what content I can as I can, trying to keep things going. We've got several. I want to say about a good 8 or 9 weeks out of guests planned for the podcast, many of which will be new to the podcast. So I'm really excited about that. So I've been working more on trying to get that squared away than anything else. But now that we've got the card by cards for the videos done, at least until I decide to do card by cards for these new factions, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait till give them a couple months. I can actually get them to do some decks.
Let them gestate.
Yeah. And I think there's some good deck videos to do, especially because people need to know, like, here's some options. You know, it doesn't have to be high winning. Just play it, try it. It's different. It's great. And actually, it can be high winning if you just have the dedication to make it work.
Yeah, and a lot of things, if you make a deck card by card now, and then they get, like, changes, they'll be out of date in a
That's
week.
why, I don't like doing them right before I know that there's going to be changes. Like, it took me a while. That's why I held off on doing the Night Houses card by card for so long, because I swore they were going to get this big rework that never came.
There is one sitting in the code right now. There's a mechanic all about having too much plasma.
That would be good. I'd be down with that. Burn it up.
We'll have to see what happens soon,
Overburn
but
or something. Yeah.
I forget what its term is, but there is something sitting in the code that looks identical to a Knight's rework. So we may see that.
That'd be interesting. Do you have anything to plug?
I want to plug all the tournament organizers for the amazing job they do.
I agree, except Doles. We have to, he deserves it.
Yes, and what else? Just the Masterclass community. If you want to become a good player and join an active community, as long as we still have dodges,
Yeah, that's fair.
you can DM us. And that's all. A really huge shout out to tournament organizers. Their job usually does not get a lot of recognition. I will let you, Axel, give your normal plug, even if I completely share it.
That's fair. I'm going to plug my boy Dorn right after I drop. Yeah, tournament organizers, they got themselves a thankless job, but they put in the effort. Without them, this game probably would have died a while ago. Not dead, but I feel like a lot less...
I think there's, tournaments are a big community motivator, like just to play the game, to get better and mix it up with other players. We talked about the World Cup last week with Terse, and that announcement at some point will be forthcoming in the game, surely, and qualifiers will be underway. So hopefully we get that going. The list, I haven't checked it this week. I've been too busy to check to see if it's grown, but I mean... Yeah, it's still something that's going to be exciting. We're going to be talking about that and covering that too. But that is an example of a big tournament series that requires a lot of work from the guys involved in it. And they just do it because they enjoy doing it for the community. And they don't get anything out of it. I mean, they get a card back, but...
They get a really nice card back, nicer than the mod one.
Yeah, it's a slow card back. I mean, I won't deny it, but... at the same time, like there's a lot more work for that than I think a mod.
Oh yeah,
I'm just gonna say it, Axel. I don't think you do.
I have to do more than I'd like to admit.
There's
There's been some salt in the community with this recent update that I've had to watch.
That's fair. Well, to be fair though, I think there once was a time where we had a lot of mods and you only saw like 2 of them. So
that's changed.
Yeah.
We are everywhere now, and it's crazy.
Yes.
I'm gonna do my usual. I'm gonna plug my boy Dornstash. Great artist. Great buddy of mine. He does commissions, or at least he's getting back into it. Drew Lee Clark on Instagram. Love the guy. Cassian main. I respect him.
The best Cassian main.
I would say so.
I
Yeah.
would say
Anyone who ever doubts Cassian, don't forget Dornstash exists, and he will main Cassian no matter what happens, or at least us Salamander. He likes the boys in green.
All right. Well, I'm gonna do. Aside from talking about the upcoming, I believe, hang on, really quick, while I've got everybody's attention for this plug here, I'm just going to count it out in my head. I believe I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, looking about 5 or 6 weeks out is we're going to do the live Q&A on the podcast. And that might be too late. I might actually move that up. I'm not sure. But we're going to do that podcast episode. So if you've got questions that you'd like to ask, whether it's game related, content related, community related, as long as it's, PG-13, like let's keep it clean, folks. Send those my way or Axel's way. We'll kind of compile the list. Just do those. But also it's going to be live on Twitch, and hopefully we'll get some people chatting in, talking about the game, just kind of rambling. We're going to pull a little page out of Valrak's book, apparently, and just ramble.
Oh, man.
I'm not going to go on a tangent, but...
I will right now. Someone asked him who Everguild was the other day, and his response was the community manager.
Yes, I saw that. I saw that. I was going to leave it lie. But yeah.
I've dropped it.
But we'll just kind of, talk in general about the game, see what people have got to say. Hopefully get some folks attending the stream and kind of make some fun of it, and we'll see what happens. That will be coming up at some point here in the next several weeks. So pay attention to that, and as I get an actual hard date set on the calendar, I'll be sure to let everybody know in advance so you can know what channel to tune into, what date to tune into, and what time as well. Also, with that in mind, I did want to shout out deck slots. Deck slots are in high demand.
I saw you do the math.
I did the math here, and I've done the math before, but I think people need it spelled out for them. So currently the game has 137 warlords to choose from, and that is counting the new warlords from the Loyalist faction. There's only 126 deck slots. We're getting at least 12 more warlords with this expansion, which includes 5th warlords as well as the Traitor Legios. And I'm including 4 warlords for Traitor Legio and 4 warlords for the Loyalist Legio. That leaves us with 149 plus warlords, when actually we're going to be 23 deck slots shy to house all of those warlords. Everybody needs a home. That's 4 rows of deck slots. That is long overdue. So I know we're supposed to be getting those deck slots. I've been hammering at the gates. Let me in, deck slots. Let me in. And they're there. They're locked under lock and key, and I think I need to coax the Everguild devs a little bit more, but we're going to get them. So I'm plugging them because we desperately do. Because right now, in my deck slots, I've got all the way down to the Imperial Fists, so everything that came out after the Imperial Fists for the Sisters of Silence and the Agents of the Sigilate and, you know, the Titans. Like, I can't even build decks for them. It just pains me. It pains me greatly. And I haven't even added a slot for Mossad. You know, I've got him. I haven't even built a deck yet for him. It's a crime. It's a crime at this point.
We also need extra dexters for our tournamented decks.
Yes, they need crucibles. They got crucible losses. They deserve extra deck slots.
I mean, I don't use them in the first place, but I would like more.
Yeah. So that's my big plug. That's always going to be my big plug, but that's my super impassioned plug this week. I'll try to make it a little bit more impassioned or just really hammer it home. But let's hope by the July patch we've got some more deck slots, because if we don't, listen up and listen closely. If we don't, there's going to be some sort of repercussion that's going to happen, and I don't want to be the one to say I told you so, but I might be the one to say I told you so. So let's not get to that point. Let's keep it clean. Give us the deck slots. Nobody gets hurt. That's what I'm saying.
Are you threatening?
No, that's not a threat at all. It's a promise.
Not a threat, it's a
That's
promise.
a warning.
Yeah.
I saw it coming.
Well, that's it for me. Dago, I want to thank you for making the time. I know with the European schedule, sometimes it takes a little bit, but I think we worked it out okay to talk about all the fun things we talked about today, which is a lot. I hope we didn't miss anything. Did we?
I don't think
I don't think we do.
No, I don't
we
think
almost
so.
forgot that Blood Bowl 3 is a thing.
That was it.
Besides that,
Right?
yeah, I think we got everything else.
I mean, I didn't say anything about the way that the expansion released with the day before and the alt art deck, but
it was Games Workshop going, hey guys, Skulls is happening Wednesday, so
that's where I really feel like it was like they were under the gun and they did their best, and I applaud them.
From what I've heard is that's exactly what happened.
Yeah. It's exactly what happened.
I mean, on one end, though, Parrot kinda spoiled the.
Yes, we forgot about that.
Yes, there was a meta in mind, some data in like 2 weeks before the expansion came out, and he hinted that there was a possibility that we were gonna get Loyalist and Traitor Legion for Titans.
We know that much. I saw you were going to mention that just today. It got confirmed that Alpha Legion will be the campaign tomorrow, and Alpha Legion is one of the factions missing their 5th warlord. Yesterday they revealed this. So if yesterday Alpha Legion's in the game and everyone has Sheed Renko, then celebrate.
I'd be down with that. Yeah, let's have it be a Sheed week.
Sheed week.
You know what? We'll get 2 sheets to the wind.
God damn it.
That'll be that'll be an upcoming Bar Night Legions theme. I'm not sure when the next Bar Night Legions is going to be. Like I said, I've been pretty occupied. Normally I have like 2 a month during the summertime. This might be a different year, so we'll see. But until then, there's so much to enjoy. Don't get frustrated by Titans. If you listen to this and you disagree with these takes, by all means, like, ping us. Like,
we invite people on to complain.
I invite you on to give your opinion on Titans. I'm curious. I'm curious what others think. I've seen what some people think, but at the same time, I think some of it is just like I said, I don't think people have adapted yet. I think people still have to be in that mode. And some people can do it on their own, and others need to see somebody else do it to know that it can be done. And that's okay. It's just the way of the world. Like some people, eventually there'll be a deck list or 3 or 4 deck lists circulating that everybody will be copying because it works and they don't have to do the work. But the people who are doing the work, which I like to put myself in that rank because I've already shared several deck lists with people. I'm already playing several things at work. That's just the way of the game. That's the way of any game. That's not unique to Legends. That's any game. Sometimes you just got to find a way to break through or be ahead of the meta. And the meta changes. When you add new cards, it's inevitable.
Yeah, it's bound to happen.
Trader Legions and Titan Legions are here to stay. We got to deal with it.
Better for worse. I'm personally in a better category. I like my Titans.
Yeah.
I'm happy Legio Metallica got some rep, even if we only got 2 Warhounds.
It's something. They squeezed him in there, man, all the time.
They're my favorite Legio. They have the dumbest side information about them, and I love them so much for it. For those who don't know, they put amplifiers on both their Titans and their guns to A, yell at people during combat, and B, their guns are louder. That's just the only reason they do it. So stupid, I love it.
It sounds suitably 90s Games Workshop.
There's you think that's 90 Games Workshop? There's an Legio that just fights orcs that repeat the words "big death" on loudspeakers constantly during a fight against orcs, and that's all they do. That is 90s Games Workshop.
All right.
That is Doom Rider era game.
I'll take it. I'll take it with the wailing guitar and the bright, vibrant colors. That just like, what were they thinking? You know, back in the day, we were like,
Subjugator Titan.
Can we get pink and purple and yellow and greens on a marine armor? You sure bet we can.
Of launch noise marines.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, look at a Subjugator Titan. You look at that nowadays and tell me that's a Titan, and I'll stare at it for like 40 minutes.
I'm always convinced that it belongs to a different game. Every time I see it, I was like, that can't be 4K.
Even the card, like they added the card to the game. For those who are unaware, Subjugator Titan is one of the very few models that carried over from like Epic. Like that was back when Magnus was a red Cyclops who had wings and looked like he fell right out of a D&D.
Yeah, he looks like he's a D&D encounter. That's for sure.
And Angron just looked like a Bloodthirster. Nothing special. Those were simpler days.
Well, with that, I guess the days have come to an end. I know it's late there for you, Dago. I appreciate you making the time. And
no problem.
Yeah, that's it for us, guys. Bye.
Bye.
A magnificent ending.
This has been another episode of the Warp Chatter Podcast. Thank you for listening.
Yes. Yes. Shh. It's over. Don't fight it.